Welcome everyone to the next edition of the Stay on Course podcast. Today, our guest is Jill Schulman, and she is a U.S. Marine Corps veteran, leadership consultant, and author of The Bravery Effect. She has over 25 years of experience developing leaders from the battlefield to the boardroom, and she's on a mission to push people out of their comfort zones, drawing on her Marine gift, positive psychology expertise from UPenn, and work with Fortune 100 companies. She's known for saying, embrace the suck and running
Mm.
up hills for fun. She helps people go from safe and stuck to bold and brave. And today we're going to talk about bravery strategies. Welcome, Jill, to the Stay on Course podcast.
Thank you. Thank you. So I got to talk about that embrace the suck a little bit later since it's in the intro now, right? Like, what does she mean by that? But I promise there's a reason behind it. But thank you
Okay.
for having me. Stay on course. I love
Stay
that
on
name.
course. Stay on course, ingredients for success.
Yeah, we
And
are what we consistently do, right? Yeah, I love that's a great title of a podcast.
yeah, it's fantastic. And your book is fantastic. I can't wait to go into the details and learn about these there it is, the bravery effect.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to really dig deeper into this topic. I think it's something that we need to have more of. But I do have to ask you, what is your favorite food? I ask all my guests this question.
Um, I like so much food, but probably my favorite food ever is like the perfectly cooked filet mignon,
Mm.
which would be cooked by my husband. He'll like sous vide it. But the absolute most delicious steak, which is good because I'm trying to eat a lot of protein. And so I love the food that is somewhat healthy. So yeah, nothing better than a big fat filet mignon. That's my favorite.
It's really a good thing. I like all the sides that come with it too, but
Oh
the
yeah.
reason, and Jill, the reason why I ask the question is that my father was a chef and he was a chef to celebrities. And so this podcast is a spin-off of the book that I wrote and all about his life. And so I keep Stan Course ingredients for success to commemorate his life and legacy and all that. So thank you for answering that question. But I'm super excited to get into this book. Why did you write this book? Let's just talk about that first.
Mm. I wrote this book because I see a need in the business world, but in the world in general. And that is there is a need for people to learn how to be brave. And
Mm.
let me talk about the opposite of it, the way I see the current state. And this isn't just my opinion, this is backed by facts. We're in a current culture where people confuse comfort with happiness. And so many people live a life of like life's okay, but they're in a rut, right? And they're not seeking discomfort. They're not being brave to go after what they want. And it's really detracting from their overall happiness, well-being, and their career. So, and I don't blame individuals for this. I blame what I see all over media that just remove stress. If there's a challenge, take it away. We need to teach people how to rise to the occasion, how to conquer the fear. That is actually the path to the highest levels of success, driving the bottom line when I work with companies. But the most exciting part, and the reason why I call the bravery effect, that's what the book is called, is it has a profound effect on people in terms of their happiness and well-being. When they really seek to accomplish hard things and they can get through it, they end up looking in the mirror with pride and
Mm.
having increasing their self-efficacy, their confidence. Um, and then they become this person that they're proud of. They no longer look back at their life with regret. So that is the reason I'm writing the book is to really change the conversation that's out there. I'm here to be a little bit provocative, tell people, please don't be a coward, be brave. And I challenge people and say, let's look in the mirror and look at your decisions each day. Because a lot of times when people are unhappy, it's because they're just not choosing to be brave. So that's kind of the why. And I'm part tough girl with the Marine Corps background, but I'm also a huge part of academic geek. Everything I teach is the science of bravery. I went back to Penn, University of
Mm.
Pennsylvania, studied the science of positive psychology, applied positive psychology, which is the scientific study of elevating happiness and well-being in companies, teams, organizations, individuals. So you got to put the two together, right? You can actually be live your happiest life, your most fulfilled life, your most fulfilled career if you're bold and brave.
Yes.
But
Yes.
if you stay small and you don't take steps forward and you're always cowering, you will be less happy and less success and you won't accomplish your goals and you won't drive the bottom line. So I really kind of bring those things together. And I feel like we need a little bit of toughness back into the world. And I'm a voice to try to do that.
It's fantastic. I love it. I think that bravery is something we all need to do some more research on because I know that the happier people are fulfilling their dreams and the
Mm,
happier people are fulfilling some kind of purpose. I just got off the phone with somebody. We were talking about what have you left undone? What do you still
mm,
need to do? What do you need to do right now before your life is over so that
mhm,
when you die or when you're about to kind of get to that place in your life, you have no regrets.
mm. It's so true. It's so true. Don't wait. I think that's where so many people, you know, in life, but I usually use examples in the business world because my clients are corporate America. I go in there and I teach brave self-leadership. Like, how do you lead others if you can't lead yourself? So we got to start off with like, you got to know how to lead yourself and then you can lead teams. In corporate America, I think so many people um, have opportunities to share their idea, to put their name in for their promotion, to have that uncomfortable conversation, things that are needed in the business world to have their best career, you know? But in those moments, they allow fear to hold them back from acting. They decide to step back because they're waiting until they feel comfortable or they feel ready.
Yeah.
So it's this people think I'm just going to wait. I'm going to wait until I feel ready. I'm going to wait until I feel confident. And then the time never comes, or it takes so darn long that they never really accomplish all the things they want in life or in their career. So one of the keys to bravery is you're not supposed to feel ready or confident. You actually have to take a step in the presence of fear. And that's actually the definition of bravery. Bravery is voluntary action taken in the presence of fear toward a worthwhile or noble goal. So, whatever goals you have at work, of things you want to accomplish, right, or in life, you got to take a step forward and it's going to be scary. So, stop waiting, please. Just take that step forward, right? And you're going to get the momentum going.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I love it. I love it. So there are three ingredients for success we're going to talk about today, or
Mm.
three bravery strategies. Let's get
Yes.
let's get into the first one.
Yeah. Instead of just saying like I'm really brave, so be brave and don't be a wimp, like that doesn't really work. So yes, there's three ingredients and these are all evidence-based from psychology. There's three areas. This draws from cognitive psychology, which is the first ingredient, then behavioral psychology, the second ingredient, and then third ingredient is social psychology. So that's where all the science comes from. But the first one is what I call from cognitive psychology. It is developing a warrior mindset. The reason I call it a warrior mindset is someone who studied positive psychology, so I could say, I guess I could say I'm a happiness scientist. If I say mindset, half the people in the room are going to go, yes, this is awesome. What happens the other half of the room? They roll their eyes because they think this is a bunch of, oh boy, happy, clappy, stuff. So the reason I call it a warrior mindset is it really is a warrior mindset. This is creating the belief that you can do hard things. So
Mm.
the first ingredient is making sure that we win the battle in our mind first.
Hmm.
And that is going to set us up for success to be able to take that step. It's not about being fearless and thinking that there's going to be no fear and no struggle, but it's just thinking that warrior mindset, I can do hard things. And the one strategy, simple ingredient, just to give something practical, is using the power of yet. This comes from Carol Dweck from Stanford, who's famous for discovering growth mindset. It's shifting from a belief of a fixed mindset, which means that I'm just not good at something, there's no way I can ever do it, to a growth mindset, which is it's not going to be easy, but I have an ability to shape my skills and abilities. So one thing that I teach, which is the very basic level, is just adding the word yet. Like, well, we can't overcome this problem at work.
Yet.
Just add yet. What does yet do? Yet means that there's a
There's
possibility.
a possibility.
There's a possibility. It's opening a little door of optimism, going like, there is a way. We need to acknowledge that it is possible.
Uh,
So when we use the power of yet, it just gets people started on, okay, it's possible.
yeah, I don't like somebody said to me over the weekend, it's impossible. Someone said that to me. I went to the
Mm,
Cadillac dealership. I have a whole issue with Cadillac right now, but this service representative said impossible. And I said, don't say that word to me. Don't say impossible to me.
mm,
Like that's not a word. It's not even in my vocabulary.
Yep.
It's not a vocabulary word for me. It may
Yeah.
be that may be your reality, but not mine.
Yeah.
And so when he said that, I had like a visceral reaction. I'm like,
Yeah.
no.
No, don't. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like anything is possible. Anything's possible. And so on this warrior mindset, helping people realize that, okay, it's possible. So that little bit of optimism, we have to be realistic, but have that little bit of optimism. And the other thing, just to give another little flavor of what I teach my audiences or my clients is we also talk about your mindset on challenges and stress. Like Aaliyah Crum and colleagues, she's also from Stanford. I promise I'll cite people from other universities, but just happens to be another one from Stanford that I'm thinking of. They actually tested mindset on stress. If and they actually set up this really clever study. They took a bunch of leaders in a really stressful environment in corporate America, and they took half of them and told them like stress is bad for you. It is unhealthy. It is something you should avoid at all costs. So this is like the stress is horrible arm. The other half, they said stress is helpful. It's what helps you learn and grow. When you're feeling physical stress, it's your body preparing you to perform at your best. Stress is something we should embrace as ways to learn and grow and to make the biggest impact at work, right?
Mm.
That's the stress is enhancing mindset. The only thing they did is basically did a reframe of stress by showing a 3-minute video to these people. And then they put them in a really stressful situation and again and again. Now they did share the video multiple times, so it got ingrained in their head. And then they followed the people. And the people who were in the stress is enhancing mindset performed better, statistically significant. They also liked their jobs better that actually had stress in it. They actually had a healthier response. Even their levels of DHEA, a hormone that or a that is related to resilience, was higher.
Mm.
So so just your mindset on stress, and that's where in my intro you said embrace the suck, right? So I in the Marine Corps they used to always say that embrace the suck, and I'm like, this is just evil. Like they're just telling me this because it's miserable and it's really hard, and I'm supposed to embrace the suck. But in a way, there's some wisdom there in psychology, right? So this is
Right.
changing your mindset on when things are tough. This is really tough. Most people won't rise to the occasion. If we can rise to the occasion, if we can grow and we can outpace our competitors and our peers if we can rise to this occasion. So embrace the challenges. Those are the stepping stones to growth and success. So we do a lot of just cognitive reframing. That's the first ingredient.
Awesome. I think it's so important. I love it. What's the next part of
The
this?
second ingredient, so it's great to have a warrior mindset, but if you can't take a step forward in the presence of fear, you are not brave. So the second one is brave action. And that is realizing that you're not supposed to wait until you feel ready, confident, or motivated to act. I think in today's world, we just overdo like motivation and when you feel confident. That is absolutely not true. Bravery is defined as taking voluntary action in the presence of fear. So it will be uncomfortable. You
Hmm.
will not be motivated to do it. It'll be hard, it'll be scary, but you're doing it in service of a worthwhile goal. So we talk about how people can take a step on shaky knees, not waiting until their knees to stop being shaky. And the one strategy I will share with your audience is it's what I call attack the day. We have the most cognitive resources in the morning. Roy Baumeister, famous psychologist, did research and said that you should choose to do the hardest things, your brave things, first thing in the day when you have the best chance of actually doing them.
Mm.
But what most people do is they put off the hard things until the end of the day. It's like asking your brain when it's tired and it has the lowest reserves of energy, motivation, and willpower to do the hardest thing at the end of the day. It just doesn't make sense. So one of the strategies that I teach is attack the day. Think about, and it starts the night before. How are you going to attack the day? Like, what do United States Marines do if we have a mission to accomplish? We don't wait until the morning and go, "Ah, what are we gonna do today? I'm just gonna like ease into the morning and see what I feel like doing." No, we decide the night before what kind of rest do I need to get, when do I need to get up, and what am I gonna do the most important things first, the hardest things first to attack the day. So that's the second strategy.
I love that. I have a course called Before I Calendar. It's called Author My Day. And every
Mm,
Friday, I work with executives and business owners, and we do our calendar for the next week. So I
yeah.
literally have an
Mm,
accountability group where we just work on time. And
mm,
one of the things that I stress is our golden hours, like what we
mm.
just talked about, is doing the things that you don't want to do first. So
Yes,
basically, if lead generation or, marketing, doing your videos are the hardest thing, whatever the hardest thing it is for you to do inside of your business, do them in the first part of the day.
yeah,
Get it
yes,
done. Get it done.
exactly. Yeah, and there's that book by Brian Tracy, or heard of that one, Eat the Frog. It's the
Yeah,
same
eat the
concept.
frog.
He teaches that. Yeah.
Same
I
concept.
love
And the thing is like what I teach is like when you have your day. So here's, no, I want to just show you something. So here's like my Tuesday. Like you have everything on your calendar on Friday. So that Tuesday you wake up in the morning, before you go to bed, you're looking at this and you're getting up in the morning and you're tackling your day. So I love that because I just feel like that is part of like such a huge ingredient for success
it
as
is.
far as consistency,
Mm,
as far as energy management, and just as far as accomplishing your goals.
yeah, that's so important. And as you talk about energy too, when you get the hard thing done, you actually feel energized by that. It's going to feel great. That gives you
Yeah.
more momentum moving forward. So, yeah, I love it. And I love that you do a week at a time because research shows that like doing a week at a time is best. And then each day you're executing the plan.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
it is. And then we're also looking at the week after we've completed a week to see how that went. Did
Mm,
we waste time? There is a reflection part of it too. So all of this is based in self-awareness, but everything kind of rises and falls. And we talk about like leadership rises and falls. Everything rises and falls on leadership. But like for a leader, it's
yeah.
about how you're spending your time.
Yeah, you are what you consistently do. So really just focusing on that, that's brilliant. Yeah,
Love
absolutely.
it.
Well, and the third ingredient, or third strategy, I call it, is this is based on social psychology. So if we're really talking about bravery, setting those ambitious, noble goals that you really want and trying to achieve them. So the first two things we talked about really come from ourselves. It's we've got to have the warrior mindset. We've got to, have the discipline to move forward on shaky knees and attack the day. This third one actually makes things a little bit easier for us to be brave. And this is
Right.
being very intentional about the environment that we're in.
Mm,
So based on like, conformity theory, if everyone that we surround ourselves is setting ambitious goals and holding each other accountable and doing hard things, it's going to become just natural and like the default for us to do. So it's what I call build a brave tribe. Who are you surrounding yourself with? If the people that you're interacting with, consistently in a professional manner, you know, um, tells you like, you know what, don't be so hard on yourself. Like, you don't have to do that. Just take the day off, right? And a lot of people think that's great advice. No, if Julie, you and I are holding each other accountable, I'm going to say, Julie, I understand you're having a hard day, but what does your 5 or 6 o'clock p.m. self want you to do right now? I know
right.
it's not easy, but I want you to keep going. I want you to get back up because I believe in you. So you need to surround yourself with people who will encourage you,
Yes.
hold you accountable, especially when you want to tap out. So it's really who we surround ourselves with. And the reason I call it a brave tribe is sometimes it takes a little bit of bravery to go and seek those people out. Like who are you impressed by that kind of scares you a little because they're operating at a higher level? Like, can you maybe ask them, like, how did you accomplish this thing you accomplished? I want to seek to do something similar. Can I ask you some questions, some advice? Try to develop a relationship with people that have the knowledge and the wisdom that have done it, because as you're climbing that mountain, there is going to be setbacks. You need people to be able to call, and the people you want to call are not going to be the ones like, oh yeah, just quit. You need the people that says, oh yeah. Like, so when I was writing my book, here's a great example. So I'm writing my first book, and got I was brave enough to approach some people that were very successful authors, these mentors. And when I was stuck, I was able to talk to them. So Ken Blanchard is the one who wrote my forward. He's become a mentor and a friend, a dear friend of mine.
Wow.
And, he was, always kind of encouraging me, but and I would, have I would meet up with them and we would catch up. And I remember telling him at one time and say, like, I just don't know if I can do this. I try to write and it doesn't come out. Like, I'm like, I can talk about it all day. But when I have like writer's block, and he just said, Jill, same thing happens to me. Happened to you? How many books have you written? He goes, I just use dictation, right? Like maybe you can use that, but you've got all these ideas. He's like, you talk to me and you have the most brilliant ideas coming out. You can write this book. Just use a different method. Like I had the same problem. So it's like when I called Ken, first of all, what he did is he said, I struggled when I was early too. Here's a suggestion on how to do it differently, and I believe in you. So like I would not be, I mean, the book's not even out for until August 26th. It's coming out very, very soon, but I would not be here today if I didn't have a brave mentor to guide me to be able to do that. Right. So we need to, you kind of are who you hang out with. Didn't your parents tell you that when you're growing up? That's kind of true from a psychological standpoint because of conformity theory. So I always ask people, like, think about like, what are your professional goals? What are your personal goals? If someone wants to like personally like run a 5K or a half marathon or whatever, and you only hang out with people who are couch potatoes that game or watch Netflix and that's all they do all day and sit on the couch, you're going to have a really hard time meeting your goal. But
Sure.
if you end up meeting people who have the same goal and you join a running group, right? Then you see how that environment, it really helps you do that hard thing. So that's a third part. And I love that you talked about reflecting back, because part of what I teach in the book and as I work with corporate audiences, we talk about being brave enough to go to that brave tribe and say, what suggestions do you have for me that could elevate my performance? Let me look back. It's the after action review we do in the Marine Corps, or what you call like reflect back and go, let me look back in the last couple things that I've done. Can you give me feedback on what went well, I should do more of, but do you have any suggestions on what I can do better to elevate my performance? And that takes bravery to be vulnerable. So this like brave tribe, you got to be brave enough to approach people. You got to be brave enough to ask for help. You got to be brave enough to ask for feedback, right? And people don't think that's bravery, but it is because you're
Yes, it
scared of
is.
it. So
Well,
that's
and you're shining the light on your deficiencies, and that's not fun. There's nothing
yeah.
fun. There's nothing fun about getting like feedback, especially when it's bad feedback. I definitely think that that is one of the things that is definitely something you need to be brave for, because
Yeah.
you have to be able to face that thing that they're telling you.
Yeah, there's bravery required from the leader perspective, because leaders sometimes have a fear of ruining a relationship, hurting feelings, whatever. Sometimes it's hard for leaders to do.
Yeah.
And then it's hard for sometimes employees to be open to hear the feedback. So there's some skill building on both sides, right? And
Mm.
we can do a little bit of cognitive reframing on feedback. We can do the behavior, the brave action of asking for it, and then we can surround it. So there are ways that we can do it, but what are all the different quotes you think of? Like Ken Blanchard used to always say, like breakfast or feedback is the breakfast of champions. The most elite athletes, the champions, are the ones that
Oh,
are always looking at, they're the top of like they're already the best of the best. And they're going and going like, what can I do better? What can I do better? So like this is learning how to seek feedback in a
interesting.
way to elevate your performance. So look at it as a gift. Like really, like there's things you need to work on. Would you rather just not know about it and then go through life knowing that everyone knows that there's something you need to work on, you don't know, or you need to be brave enough to ask and say, what is the one thing you see I can do better? And be brave enough to bring it in, embrace the suck. It's going to be hard to hear, but
Hmm.
it's a gift. And like, what is the truth in there that I can improve from? Maybe there's a perception that I am bossy, condescending, or, something at work, like that is good information to know.
Yeah,
There's a gift in there, right? So
there is a gift
that's
in
a third
there.
ingredient. Hmm.
I love that. I love that. Well, I'm excited for this book. I'm excited for your TEDx. This is going to be amazing. We'll have to share that with our audience as well once you finish it. And before we end today, I have a question. I'm like a question that's coming up for me is like, why bravery? Was there a moment, or can you tell us a short story of like the moment of time that you had to be the most brave in your entire life?
I think probably it was when I decided that I wanted to be a Marine.
Mm,
And I was flying to Southern California, San Diego to start my journey. And I was in for a shock I had no idea that I was in for. It was so much more challenging. And that required so much bravery to stay there and to keep
yeah,
showing up. I kind of thought I was ready. I'm like, I'm smart. I've got the leadership. I'm fit. I was not nearly Marine Corps fit in the hills of Southern California. So I think that required so much bravery to choose. But if you look at the definition of bravery, it was voluntary action. I had to show up each day in the presence of fear. I had fear every day because and it wasn't physical fear. This was social fear. This is the fear we all experience. It's like fear of embarrassment, fear of failure.
yeah,
That fear was front and center, but it was in pursuit of that meaningful, worthwhile, noble goal. I wanted to become a United States Marine. I wanted to earn a degree, and this was my path to it. So it was really hard. And here's the best part of bravery: when you do stick with it, when you do overcome the fear and the obstacles that are in your way, it is that victory is that much sweeter.
yeah.
And and it's who you become on the
Mm,
journey.
yes.
It's what it does to you. I feel like I was just hanging out with some Marines like the end of last week. There's a guy that I served with many years ago. I've been out forever, but we were both in 7th Engineer Support Battalion together, and now he just pinned on his third star. And so he was in town. I was able to catch up with him, but we were all talking about how universal bravery is, and how, like, sometimes the more someone struggles to accomplish something, the bigger gift it is to that person when they accomplish.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure.
If it's
Yeah.
easy, it's no big deal.
Well, and then the other thing I'm thinking is like, how long was your Marine Corps training?
Mm.
How many years, months, like
Yeah,
how long?
so I went through the Naval ROTC Scholarship Marine Corps Option Program. So basically 4 years of training to become a Marine, like wearing a uniform once a week, every summer going active duty to train. And then the day you graduate college, you get your commission and you get your bars.
So four
And then
years, 4 years you had to like get up every morning and be brave, like every single day.
pretty much, and it's the first year that was the hardest because when I showed up, someone told me, like, almost joked, like, you'll never make it as a Marine, because there was only two females that were coming to the university as these freshmen midshipmen. And the other one quit, right? And so
Wow.
it was, it was
Big deal.
it
It's a big deal.
it was a big deal. And it took, yeah, it took all those years, but it's like the first year was the hardest. The second year was still really hard. Third year, I was starting to get my groove.
Yeah.
Then by my senior year, I was doing really well. I was actually the top finisher in officer candidate school out of all the Marines from my school, all the male Marines, and they ended up making me. This is one of my proudest accomplishments. It sounds like it's no big deal, but when you're in ROTC, we had a couple hundred people in our ROTC unit, all the Navy and the Marines, and I was chosen to be the midshipman battalion commander, which basically means you're like the student kind of practicing commanding before you really go out in the fleet. But the
That's
fact that
awesome.
they gave that to me to like lead, that was a huge win. And again, it's who I became on the journey. I was so confident then pinning on those bars and serving. Probably because the journey was so tough. I felt like I'm unstoppable, right? That's the bravery effect. Like, you do one thing,
Yeah. Well, and I love the story because you had a lot of time to practice bravery. And I think you've put yourself in a position where you had to be brave day after day after day. And it's a muscle. It is a bravery muscle that you're
It is.
building.
Yeah, it absolutely is.
Amazing.
It is like a muscle. When you keep doing things, then
Yeah,
the muscle goes
you do.
stronger. Yeah.
You do. You build a muscle around it, and then other
Mhm.
adversity comes against you, and you're like, "What? No, this is not a
No big deal.
problem.
And
I'll
then
figure this out."
you end up craving challenges. And that's what I want for everyone. I want people to I want them to crave challenges and stretches. No one wants bad things to happen to them.
Yeah,
So like sometimes people say like, are you a resilient speaker? You know, because I do keynotes a lot of different places. And I'm like, I'm not really a resilient speaker because a resilient usually means like, how do you get back up if you fall down? I
right.
don't want to just help people bounce back. I want people to seek challenge. I want you to go after. I want you to choose those goals and challenges that you know is going to create adversity. So I want you to go after adversity, which brings me back to embrace the suck. Find things that are going to be hard
And do them
because
anyway.
that is, I mean, think of like working out our bodies. Like, I don't want people to wait until they get sick and then try to be healthy. Like, this is like, I want people to have strong, like, able bodies where they're always pushing their body so that if they get sick or if they get in an accident, they're going to bounce back right away. It's the same thing with bravery. That's why I want everyone to be on the offensive, like, be in attack mode, like, always be pushing
Sure.
yourself.
Always be ready. A lot of what I talk about is being ready for opportunities. And a lot of that
Yeah.
has to come with the preparation that you should always be ready. You should always be seeking out opportunities and be ready to take the mic. I always say, get ready to take the mic or be ready to take the mic when the mic
Yeah.
appears. Jill, this has been amazing. I love this conversation. You're changing the world. The bravery effect is going to be as big as Mel Robbins, like the Let Them Theory.
Woo.
I am waiting for the day that I'm like, Jill is on my podcast.
Oh, wow. Okay. So I'm not Mel Robbins big yet.
Yet, yet, but I'm going to say it right now. You will be, and we'll do this again. But don't forget me, Jill, because when you become as famous as as Mel, you'll be here back on my podcast.
I will. I will. Well, thank you for your faith and confidence in me, but I'm excited because this message is needed. So, yeah, thank you so much for having me on, letting me share what I'm so passionate about. Like anyone can be brave. There's just, you got to follow the strategies. The book is written as a parable. So it's written as a story. I love parables. I mean, I learned it from Ken Blanchard, my mentor, is parables work. But it's everything that the wise mentor teaches the young person. Like it's
Oh,
all
the
by
guide and the
evidence.
hero. Hmm.
So there's a big section in the back here, like here's all the science behind it, but there's tangible steps that they can take, and there's downloadable resources. So thank you for giving me an opportunity to share the science of bravery. We all need it. And if we increase it, you can be more successful and live your best life and not look back at your life with regret. That is the effect of bravery.
I love that. Where can my audience find you, Jill?
I am all over the place in the best possible way. Um, I am on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. If people just go to my website, I have a free bravery assessment there. I have a great discussion guide. A lot of my clients are like doing like little, book clubs and everyone read it and then they apply the concepts in the workplace. So if you go to my website, which is just jillschulman.com, my last name is Jill is obvious, Jill, but Schulman, Schulman. There's a free bravery assessment that you can take that's going to give you some scores on that cognitive, behavioral, social like bravery
Hmm.
spectrum. You get a free brave action guide, like a blueprint of how to build bravery with evidence-based tips. And then there's also the discussion guide. So if anyone wants those free resources, please just go to my website or follow me on any of those platforms. I always try to, another part of being brave is always like just the little reminders each day. Like you talk about it's what you do each day. So what I do for my own inspiration is I look at stoic, like little stoic quotes, like stoic philosophy. And
Hmm.
when I read those each day, it gets me motivated. So I try to, on all my social media platforms, give a little message out there that just encourages people to step forward and be brave instead of stepping back and
Yeah.
cowering or
Yes,
being
yes.
small. So it's another little promise I make to my audiences. But thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for being a guest on the Stay on Course podcast.